Okay, good morning, everybody. How's everybody doing? Woo! All right, Saturday, we made it through another week. Hello, good morning, or good afternoon, divas and dudes who may be watching this recording later at home. Thanks for joining us. This is, what is this, week three? Week three of our 5-week series on smoothies, salads, and soups. Actually, we're still on soups. It is cold outside, so it is another good soup day. So you guys are in for a treat. This week we are making a lentil mushroom soup. Who here loves lentils? Except for Rosie, because she already told me her childhood trauma about lentils. But well, you should talk to Rosie. You might need to change your mind about sausage and lentils. But ooh, okay. Talk to Rosie later. Maybe we can change your mind. But anyhow, lentils are one of my favorite foods because so many reasons. They taste great. They come in different varieties. They're a good source of protein. They're also a great source of iron. Today we're going to pair them up in this soup with some other tasty things. But again, you know me. I like to kind of find foods that are pretty simple, but then just kind of add in some nice flavors. And that way you all have a recipe you can take with you as sort of a foundation. And if you want to mix and match, like throw some other things in with it, check your fridge, see what's in there, throw that in there. Like, this is what the recipes are intended to be. So, but I think you'll love it just even as it is. But if you want to tweak it later, by all means. So let's walk through what we have today. Obviously, lentils. These are just plain brown lentils. I did notice that H-E-B now carries a really nice French lentil, which is kind of a darker green. They're a little bit smaller. There are all different colors. There's little black lentils, like Spanish lentils, if you can find them. They're delicious, and they don't take that long to cook. Today we're using our Instapot here, so I'm kind of giving our carrots a head start just to make sure that they have enough time to kind of get tender. So we've used 4 large carrots that I've peeled and chopped. So that's simmering in 2 tablespoons of olive oil. And then I used also 2 tablespoons of unsalted butter because I want a little extra yummy fat in there. And I always like to do the combination. This is a pretty healthy recipe. The rest of our ingredients, as you see, we're going to use some onion that we're going to saute, and I'm going to chop up in a minute here. I also have these cremini mushrooms, which are beautiful. These are, I mean, look how beautiful they are. They're huge. Cremini mushrooms are basically your button mushroom. There's a small version of like a portobello. But I think they have a little more flavor. I just love the color. I love to saute these just with a little butter and oil, or just oil, and salt and pepper, and just add some herbs. We're also going to add in some spinach towards the end and just let that wilt down. Also great source of iron, right? And then I've got some fresh rosemary, a little garlic, and tomato, crushed tomato. One of the other things that I use, just to give it some salty, savory, is tamari. Has anybody ever cooked with tamari? It's like soy sauce, right? I like it because it's the gluten-free version. You can also get it in low sodium, so we're going to use that today. You guys are always teasing me about the salt, but we are actually going to add a little of this and some salt. I think it's going to be great. But then also remember, we're adding some vegetable stock, which will have some salt in it as well. There goes my mushroom, my runaway mushroom. So to the pot, as I said, we already have the oil, a little bit of butter. I've got my carrots kind of doing their thing, chilling in there. But I want to add in our onion. So just a regular yellow onion. I'm going to dice this really quick here. Did anybody make the minestrone soup from last week, or just enjoyed the leftovers? Yeah, it was good soup weather last week. We're, I think, officially kind of feeling more winter-like here. It's a beautiful sunny day, though, so I'll take it. I was yesterday celebrating my 1-year anniversary, work-anniversary, and remembering that when I started a year ago, that's when we had that little bit of snow that scared everybody. And so I couldn't actually physically go into work because the office was closed. And I was like, a year later, it's a little chilly, but no snow. So I do hear that it's going to get a little colder tomorrow. So be prepared, ladies. Be prepared. Okay, so bless you. So I do my usual with the onion, as you all know. Just kind of make a couple cuts here horizontally, and then just follow it along the lines, right? I was mentioning to Rosie that next week you all are in for a treat because we're moving on to salads. But I have this wonderful roasted cauliflower, kale and what's the other ingredient? Brown rice salad. And it was something that I think I've seen it. You know, sometimes a lot of the recipes that I end up making are just from things that I've enjoyed. Maybe I've gone to a restaurant. I'm like, how would I make that if I made it at home? So it's a version of that. I kind of thought of it. You all were going to get a tortilla soup recipe, as I mentioned, but that didn't quite pan out. So I don't like it when it has kind of the root end. So I'm just going to toss that piece. But this is ready to go in. And so instead, I was like, what if we did something with cauliflower? We haven't done anything with cauliflower in a while. So you all are in for a treat because I have been just really enjoying the flavors of that salad, and I think you will too. I know some people are not fans of kale. Anybody here? It's okay, you're in a safe space. You can admit if you don't like kale. Yeah, I think kale is kind of like cilantro. You've got some fans and you've got some people who are definitely offended by it. So I hear you. I also want you to try it because I think you're going to love it. I always say just try, just try a little bit. Ah, okay.
And when I made it, they didn't know it was a spicy cauliflower. Is this spicy too? I said, oh, I'm glad that was it. You have to do that.
Yeah. I think if you get the right balance of things in a salad like that, it's pretty good. Okay, so I'm just mixing my carrots and my onions a little bit so the butter and oil can coat that nicely. They can continue to simmer there. And then I'm going to add in, it says 3 large cloves. You know me, when I say 3 large, I mean really large. These are kind of small today, but I've got about 4 just to make up for that, to make up for the deficit. Nothing wrong with a little bit extra garlic, right? Although I know some people can't have, it's anything in the family of onion, right? Onion, garlic, all that good stuff, chives, green onions, which makes me sad because there's a lot of flavor in that. You can definitely cook without it. I think it was Ruthie who was mentioning that, right? And I had a client who was like that. She couldn't have, she had celiac. And so it was a lot of like anti-inflammatory diet kind of recipes and meals. And she missed her garlic and nothing. It was safer for her to just leave it completely out, but she missed it. So adding things like fresh herbs, just trying to find a way to give it food some more flavor so you're not missing some of those things. What other soups are you all? I know I asked you this last week, but anything else you all have seen lately, like maybe in magazines or on TV and cooking shows that you're kind of curious about? Cauliflower soup, yeah. Was it, how was it prepared? Was it like a curried style or? Mm-hmm.
They baked it, and then with onions and garlic and fennel.
Okay. Oh, and fennel. Okay. We've done something with fennel before, right? I think. Sounds familiar. That sounds really good. I think that's a nice combination. I'm just going to mince this up a little bit here. It's really slippery with the gloves, so my apologies if it looks a little cumbersome here. I'm trying not to get my glove in the way here. Yeah, cauliflower soups can be really nice. Any kind of pureed soup. I used to have a friend who said, I don't like to eat pureed anything because I feel like I'm eating baby food. But you'll see occasionally on, menus, beautiful pureed soups, and a lot of them, it's nice because if you have an abundance of a certain thing, you can just either roast it to give it some extra like caramelization and richer, deeper flavors, and then just puree it. I made a tomato soup for you guys once, right? And that's kind of what I did to bring out some of the flavor because, like we were talking about before, store-bought tomatoes generally don't have a lot of flavor. And so I would put them under the broiler, just like cut them into thick slabs, put them under the broiler with a little oil, salt, and pepper, and maybe some herbs. and then just puree that into your tomato soup. And I can't remember if I added, you could add like a coconut milk if you wanted it even creamy, or heavy cream if you want to do that. But even just on its own, it was pretty creamy and had lots of flavor. And then I think I added in like some fresh basil at the end. But anything like that is always nice. And I think about, when we're going through illness, I think we've talked about this before too. I've definitely had this from personal experience, is sometimes our digestive system needs a little break, and we need foods that are a little more gentler on our systems, right? So a pureed soup is a good thing. My mom was telling me that one of my cousins, who's younger than I am, is dealing with high cholesterol. And so his mother said, let me make you a soup. But then she was telling me what was in the soup, and I was like, that actually has a lot of cholesterol in it. So maybe I need to call my tia and just kind of give her some pointers. But the idea of like a mother's love and soup and like, taking care of him in that way, like it's a good place to start. So I commend her. Ooh, yes. Yeah. Black beans are great. I know that's also one thing I've kind of been surprised by. I love black beans, but not everybody does. I think a lot of people in, our Hispanic culture have grown up with the pinto bean, so that's what we're used to. But I say I'm a proponent of any kind of bean because they're good for us. They're good sources of protein if you don't, if you can't consume meat or you don't want to spend the money, like maybe you don't want to do that. I'm all for beans. Okay, so we've got our onions, garlic, carrots in there. The other thing I'm going to throw in are these beautiful mushrooms. So for these mushrooms, a question was asked before we started rolling. How do you clean these things? You run them on underwater? You could, but you don't. They're so beautiful like this. I just take like a damp towel and just kind of remove any of the little dark mud spots, because you know where they grow, right? You know how they grow them, so it's all flavor. It's all flavor. These are beautiful. This is a pound, if you can believe it or not. I feel like it's more than a pound, but it's a pound. But look how huge this one is. I mean, because they're essentially portobellos, right? Has anybody ever done like portobellos like a sandwich? Cooked it? Yeah, that's a great thing too. I had a friend who gave me a great recipe just to put them on the grill, but she would slice them and then marinate them like meat. And it had something, I think it might have been soy sauce or tamari, some chili paste, green onions, garlic, forget what else, but it was a beautiful marinade. And they would sit in that, like put them in your fridge overnight and then just put them on the grill. And you could put that, I would put it in all sorts of salads the next day or just eat them like that. They were so good.
So I've made stuffed mushrooms.
These would be great for stuffed mushrooms because they're great size.
It's been a long time, but
Yeah. Well, these we're definitely not going to stuff. We're going to stuff them into the soup. And I like to kind of cut them a little thicker just so they're that meatier. This is kind of a pretty big mushroom. I should have cut it in half, but it's okay. I always think about, when I'm going to eat this later, I don't want it to be cumbersome, but it's just me eating it. You all, maybe I'll cut it a little smaller. Well, too late. I already went for it. Okay. These are huge. But I love mushrooms and they will cook down. So, but it's a nice meaty texture to kind of have in there if you're missing the meat and you're like, oh man, I don't know if anybody has family members where you're like, where's the meat? I can't go plant-based. Like I need some meat. Throw some mushrooms in there. That's always, unless they don't like mushrooms, which I've sadly met some people who are not fans of mushrooms. I don't know what's wrong with them because I love mushrooms, but yeah. So these are pretty big. Now I'm regretting my choice, but I se va, as we say. Okay. All right, that's gonna cook down. I will cut this one in half because look how huge that is. That's pretty much almost like half the size of a portobello. All right, here we go. Maybe this way. All right, so in go the mushrooms, and then I'm gonna add a few more things. The lentils, what I did was I just quickly rinsed them in a little strainer under cold water just to get any, dirt, debris off of them. And so here they are drained. So we've got all of our things that need to be chopped in there. I'm going to add next a can, again, like we did last week, a can of crushed tomatoes. So I'll add that in.
so the lentils were canned?
Nope, lentils were dry. You could get canned lentils. That would also take some time off of your cooking. Great suggestion. You can find those usually at most grocery stores, so look for that. You could probably also find them in the frozen section because I know they do like black-eyed peas often. So there's always options. I do like, again, having things that come together fairly quickly. If I have some fresh tomatoes that haven't been used up, I'll throw a few of those in there for some more texture. Oh, sorry, good thing that camera's not right there. Need a splash guard. Okay. Smelling pretty good so far. Yeah. Okay. What else am I doing? So we've got also six cups of vegetable stock. I'm not sure what was happening when I created this recipe and why I didn't just use the whole thing, but we're gonna roll with it. So this is 4. Bless you. It's the allergy. It's whatever's outside because I did that this morning too. You're allergic to your person sitting next to you? Or I always say, I'm allergic to work. Okay, so in go 4. That was 4. Let's do 2 more. And then we're also going to add some water to kind of thin it out a little bit. So save your other cups of stock if you want to make some grains, like for the recipe next week for the brown rice. You could use, instead of water, some vegetable stock. Maybe that's what I was thinking. I don't know. I don't remember. Okay. And then we have 4 cups of water. Hopefully this will make it to 4. Should. Oh, look at that. And some to spare. Perfect. Okie dokie. Ooh, it's getting to the top there. Okay, I'm going to add in our beautiful lentils. And it's interesting. I got a couple in there that are orange. Not sure. Some snuck in there from a different batch. Hopped in for the ride. Well, now you're in the soup. Okay. We can't forget our beautiful rosemary. So this has about 2 sprigs. This was from my little garden. I love going out there and just like rubbing my hands on it in the morning in between breaks if I'm working from home. I'm like, oh, this is so nice. I wish I had more space for a bigger garden, but I do not at the moment. And I have a lot of birds, so I suspect that they would eat a lot of my stuff. So I don't know. Some people have like deer in their backyard, right? I lived in a place once where I spent, we spent weeks, my partner and I at the time, just cleaning, like doing all this landscaping. It was beautiful. We bought all these nice flowers and things, and we forgot that we lived in a place where there were lots of deer. And so we enjoyed it for, not even a week. And we came out one morning and everything was chewed down to the nub. And it was like, I pretty much set out a salad bar for the deer. So I was devastated, but I was like, well, at least I'm feeding the wildlife. Yeah, it was sad. Momentarily sad, but I was like, well, it's kind of cool that we have deer in the backyard. Okay. There was also bear. So I'm thinking it was mostly the deer because there was also an apple tree that we noticed some like scratch marks on. That was definitely not the deer. Okay. Yeah, I could have been that too. They definitely look like claw marks though. There's a lot. The bears really liked it. It was an apple that I couldn't cook with. They were too sour. I did try. We also had like a hybrid cherry tree that had been planted. And so it had Bing cherries and Rainier cherries on it. And one year we had, it was great. It was like the surplus of cherries. We had more bears that year. Okay, this looks great. I'm gonna add that in as well. Look at that, that looks awesome. Okay, and then last couple of things here. Mushrooms are all floating to the top. This looks kind of funny. I should have chopped them smaller. My apologies, you guys. You're gonna have to fish around the mushrooms to find the lentils. Okay, I got so excited about how great those mushrooms looked. Okay, so it's 1 teaspoon of salt we're gonna add in. We're also going to add in some black pepper, about a quarter teaspoon. And then don't let me forget the last ingredient. 2 tablespoons of the low sodium tamari. So we'll have some additional flavor in there. And then I'm going to let that cook. And then just before we serve, I'll throw in the 4 cups of spinach because that just needs to wilt down. And I want it to still be nice and green. Anytime I'm cooking mushrooms, I tend to always use this tamari too. I don't know. It's just a thing that seems to make me happy. So I do it. I do it quite a lot. I got everything right? Yeah. Okay. All right, I'm gonna kick up the heat on this and we're gonna see what happens here. I think it's gonna do what it did last time, which is okay. We want that. Okay. I'm gonna put the lid on. I'm gonna wrestle with the lid for a minute here. Bear with me. Okay, oh wow, that was a lot easier this time. Awesome. Okay, and away we go. Yes, okay. So we'll let that do its thing. And then we're going to talk a little bit about, what do we have this week? What do we have this week? We are talking, vitamin C and zinc and iron. All right, week 3, we are talking about, the difference between vitamins and minerals. So vitamins, as we were mentioning in the last couple of classes, they're organic. They come from plants, they can come from animals. They can be broken down by heat, air, or acid, and they support energy release. They support a red blood cell formation and skin and eye health. So we talked about all our A, B, C, D, kind of our fundamental vitamins. Minerals, on the other hand, are inorganic, and so they come from soil, rocks, water. They're absorbed by plants. They keep their chemical structure, and we need them for bone strength, muscle contraction, blood pressure regulation, and nerve function. So together, they're quite the powerhouse. And as we've been talking about, like, what's the best way to get the most absorption? Sometimes if you're pairing certain vitamins and minerals, that's also a good way to do that. So just this little chart here shows you kind of some of the things we've talked about. But just to reiterate, the vitamins, we have A, B, C, D, E, and K. It's like reading an eye chart. And so, yes, we're talking about these are all the ones that come from plants and animals. On the right, we've got things like iron, zinc, and calcium. So we'll be talking about some of those minerals and the combinations with vitamins in the next couple of weeks. But today, it looks like I wanted to focus on vitamin C. It is this time, right, of year when we're all taking our extra vitamin C because we don't want to get sick. When it comes to vitamin C and zinc, you may even see, like in the stores right now, supplements or just over-the-counter things that you can purchase, and they always have that combination. Well, here are some of the reasons why. So vitamin C and zinc, this is a pairing that's effective to support, obviously, immune function during stress or infection. So it's a kind of one of those powerhouse pairings. When they're combined, they can aid in shortening the duration and severity of cold. So if a doctor has ever said, take these two together, this is the reason why. Somebody is also, I've heard this phrase a lot of, maybe you all subscribe to this too, Z-Packs. Like when you get sick, they always talk about, and because it's the zinc, right, and all the other good stuff to keep you healthy or to just lessen the severity of what you already may have contracted, if it's like flu, cold, all that kind of stuff. Vitamin C supports white blood cells, and it's an antioxidant. And then zinc helps immune cells develop and regulate inflammation. So when they're combined, they support different but complementary parts of our immune system, and that's why they're so great. They're like this dynamic duo of vitamin and mineral. So if you've ever heard or wondered, or you've purchased it or been told to take the combination, this is why. So how do we do that with food, right? Because we're always saying, well, start with the food. And you can do it in things like the following. So if you think about beef and broccoli, the broccoli is vitamin C. Remember, not just citruses or oranges, but the green cruciferous vegetables have vitamin C. Shrimp scampi, what's the vitamin C in that? Could be tomato, but the lemon. The lemon, and the shrimp has the zinc. Chickpea salad with red bell peppers. So bell peppers is the vitamin C there. Hard-boiled egg is the zinc, and then the kiwi is the vitamin C. So kind of think about those combinations as you're going about, making your meals in the week or the coming months. you can find these pairings in the foods that you create as well. Another one, if you wanted something for breakfast, is oatmeal and pumpkin seeds and blueberries. So the oatmeal and pumpkin seeds have some zinc, and then the blueberries are the vitamin C. Okay, any questions on that so far?
The hard-boiled egg and kiwi, it's kind of hard for my brain to accept that. Would you do it like in a salad?
No, it would just be like you could just eat the hard-boiled egg and then just have kiwi, like a little fruit on the side. Yeah. I don't know if I'd want to do that together. I mean, it would be a challenge. I'm always up for a good challenge. I'm like, now I'm thinking, how could I put that together? I don't know. Yeah, I'm not sure. I like my hard-boiled eggs separate. Yeah. No, it's more like just if you think about sometimes, like, I don't know what you all tend to have, kind of fall into our routines with breakfast, right? If you're a breakfast eater. Lately I've been doing overnight oats, but I've been lacking, like I feel like I'm missing the savory, and so I made some hard-boiled eggs. So but I also like to have like fresh fruit on the side. So that's kind of my combination right now. But I go through phases. I went through a lot of egg phases, and now I want something a little more with the fiber and all of that. So what do you guys do for breakfast? Anything? What's the kind of your go-to? Nothing? Coffee? Okay. It's real.
Egg whites and roasted sweet potato and then green.
Oh, okay.
Sauteed spinach. So I try to get that in the first thing.
Yeah. Sometimes, I mean, it kind of depends. I go through phases when I can't do a lot of heavy breakfast, and so I switch it up a little bit. But think about that, as you're kind of going through the day, making your meals, or just, if you go out and pick something up at the store or a restaurant, try to find the pairings of things, because you can get this kind of stuff, again, not just from the supplements at the store, but in your food.
Well, for me, sometimes I have eggs for dinner.
Yeah.
The other day it was scrambled eggs, and I put mushroom, spinach, and pico de gallo,
That sounds good. Yeah, I'm a big advocate for breakfast for dinner, because sometimes that's like comfort food to me, and I love, like, on Sundays just taking my time to enjoy a nice breakfast. But during the week, if I haven't had a chance to prepare meals and just stuff I can reheat, breakfast scrambled eggs is it's a go-to. Awesome. Okay, let's go over the vitamin C and iron. So while this vitamin and mineral pairing supports different systems in our bodies, the vitamin C, again, is for protection and repair. The iron is for oxygen and energy. So the main reason they work so well together is to help the body better absorb the iron. I did not know that. And so when I was anemic, somebody told me, and I was like, oh, I feel so much better now that I'm doing that. So there's two types of iron, just FYI. There's iron, the animal type, and then the non-heme, which is the plant. Non-heme is a little harder to absorb, so you want to make sure, if you can, you take it paired with a vitamin C to help. Some people just can't tolerate iron, and so they have to have infusions and things like that. So kind of listen to your body on that one. Some of the pairings for this one, these are pretty tasty. So like a spinach and strawberry salad, so the iron from the spinach, right? And then the vitamin C from the strawberries. Black beans, somebody mentioned black beans earlier, and salsa. So you've got your black beans, great source of iron, and then the salsa with your vitamin C. An orange date and oat smoothie. Yes, that would be great, because dates are actually also a great source of iron, if you did not know that. And then cream of wheat with strawberries or blueberries. So cream of wheat is also a good source of iron, because it's one of those fortified cereals. And then the berries are your vitamin C. So this is a very kind of cut and dry. This one's easy. I like this one because it's very timely. Right now, people are, again, trying to kind of keep themselves healthy immune-wise, so that they can get through this last tail end of the winter season, although it doesn't look like winter, just to make sure we stay healthy. So any other questions about this? Yeah. No, go for it.
What do you think about cooking with a cast iron skillet? I heard that provides iron. I don't know if that's true or not.
That is true. Cooking with cast iron skillets is a great way to get iron into your diet as well. So if you have one and you know how to season it and take care of it properly, that is a great. Great question. Yep. This is why we're here. Yes. Okay, so I know that this soup is not ready, but we're probably a little early on time, so we're gonna just, I say, end here, and we'll for the folks at home, pretend that this was a delicious bowl of soup that you're. Hopefully, you'll prepare this and enjoy it at home. For the rest of our class, we're gonna hang tight and see where we're at with the soup in a few minutes, and then. Like I said, next week we're moving on to salads. So we've got a tasty salad coming your way for next week, and we'll be talking more vitamin pairings. All right, thank you.